everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sweet Witches. Saint, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty okay. I'm excited to bake some stuff.
Me too. I have been wanting to do this for a while now. I'm so excited to actually get to try and beat this challenge. It's an interesting little concept that we've come up with. We are spinning the wheel each time to get a recipe so that we do not have to make a conscious decision on what we're baking because there are too many options out there.
And also, it's not competitive, but it's a little, like...
It's a little competitive.
It's a little competitive.
It's a little competitive.
Just in terms of, like... Especially because we never pick the same recipe. It's not a true competition, but it is funny that it's like, okay, like, I know this week you weren't... I don't know what you made, but I know you weren't thrilled with it, whereas I was really thrilled with my outcome, so... Alright, let's spin the wheel. See this week's challenge.
Now, Saint, as you will see, this wheel is jam-packed with items.
I'm
giving us a lot of variety. Yep. So the biggest ones that we got some differences in like cookies and cakes, definitely some brownies on there. But you'll also notice some that are like blackberry or mint or pineapple or cardamom. So all of these things are, if we spin this wheel and we get that, we have to use that in the dessert. And then there are some options like the Crunch Overload or the movie inspired or based on a season where they're just random and we can do whatever we want. Again, this is really just for us to just practice baking more and enjoy and have y'all join in on the ride. So when you're ready, we'll go ahead and spin, Saint.
I just want to say I'm really excited for the variety of options here because I feel like we won't get bored as opposed to it just being like a single ingredient swap.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. It could be something very basic, or it could be something...
Interesting. Wrong? Oh, wait.
Cranberry!
Cranberry! Wrong time of year for that?
Wrong time of year for that.
Cranberry.
Hey, that's part of the challenge.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, cranberry. All right. Interesting. I am curious to see what we do with this. For those of you that are new here, here's how the challenge works. We spin our Wheel of Destiny to receive this week's task, which could be anything from a specific theme or mystery ingredient, or even something to push ourselves completely out of our comfort zones. We do not have to use the same recipe or even make it the same style treat unless the wheel calls for it. It's all up to chance. All right, Saint. So this week we rolled cranberry. This is our post cranberry baking discussion.
I would like to point out, as I did, that it is summer.
Yeah.
While we're recording this.
Yeah.
And thus we could not get fresh cranberries.
Which is a disappointment.
Impossible. But I think the frozen cranberries were fine. Like there was not. I think you can just use a good quality frozen cranberry. I think that if anything, you run the risk of the cranberries being like not great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like frozen fruit is always like, as long as you get a good quality brand. It's probably even better than getting it fresh because it's usually picked at the peak freshness anyways when it's out of season. So,
as you will see in my video, I had to go to 3 different grocery stores to find cranberries.
I feel like one of the parts of this challenge that's very funny is that I live in a city that has a really, really strong grocery culture.
Yeah.
As in I have Wegmans.
And I don't.
And I have international food markets. Not only do I have like an Asian food market, we have Middle Eastern food markets, we have Indian food markets. So it's like, it'll be interesting, especially as we hope you guys will join us on these future challenges to like see what people can come up with what you have available to you.
Yeah, it was a clusterfuck. I had to go to 3 different places on the hottest day of the year. One of the reasons
this took forever.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot we didn't want to bake anything.
Yeah.
I literally was like, I don't want to turn the oven on.
Yeah.
Like, I can't turn the oven on.
One of the reasons that one of the stores that I went to, it was so hot that it killed their freezers. So I was like, okay. So I went, I finally got the ingredients, and we're going to present them to you now. As this video plays out, you will see us baking our chaos. But Saint, do you want to go first or me?
I can go first.
Okay.
So I made
what are
these? These are maple cream cheese and cranberry danishes with a vanilla glaze. So I had to get frozen cranberries because it's out of season. I splurged for the good stuff. Got all of my spices, maple syrup, white sugar all together. I don't know why I got the maple syrup out because I didn't need it for this part of the recipe. Not pictured as the cloves that I added later, but this is the basics of the jam. You just kind of add the cranberries to a saucepan. They made a really fun marbly noise. Added the sugar and then tossed in some of the spices. I was a little scared to add too much of the spices at once, so I just did a little tippy tap here and there, and then I spiced it as I went. And now for the important and tedious part, you just keep stirring and stabbing. I promise if you stab it long enough and enough times, it will eventually cook down. You can see like the sugar dissolving, and eventually the cranberries will pop open. You can see I added more. That's me adding more spices, guys, because, you know, you gotta have that flavor. And then you can see them popping open like that. That's the sign that they're starting to cook down, but obviously you don't want a watery jam. So it's going to bubble up like this. So make sure you use an appropriately sized saucepan. Just keep stirring, and eventually it'll look something like this. And it was pretty tasty. For the cream cheese filling, it's so easy. You soften cream cheese and then a couple tablespoons of maple syrup. Get the good stuff, the real maple syrup. Fake syrup will not work in this. Just don't do it. Splurge for the good stuff. You probably also don't have to measure. You could just, you know, splash some in there until you get the flavor you like. As you can see, I tried mixing it by hand, and then I was like, this is not coming together well at all. And I got my immersion blender with the whisk attachment out, and it worked fantastic. So you can see how perfectly smooth that is. Don't try to mix it by hand if you don't have to. Then I cut up my puff pastry into rectangles. It made 12 total because like one pack of pastry dough has 2 sheets, and then it made 6 with each sheet. To be safe, I wasn't sure how much these were going to puff up. I only put 4 on each tray. You could probably put 6 on each tray if you laid them out correctly. Throwing on the turbinado sugar on all of the edges there, it gives it like a nice little crunch, a little extra sweetness with that kind of like, I don't know, molassesy flavor that turbinado sugar has. It's also like called raw cane sugar if you don't know what, or don't have turbinado sugar. It's the same thing. Spooned on the maple cream cheese filling. I did like a tablespoon or 2. You know, these ones I did a little light. I ended up going back more later. And then just spoon the cranberry jam right on top. And it's that easy. Like, that was it. It really is not that much work to put into these other than the jam itself.
So it's been 20 minutes at 350 and these still don't look done. And I think that it's the temperature is too low. I think we're gonna go to like 375. It just does not seem high enough. Okay, the leftovers fit perfectly in a mason jar, and we'll just have this for like toast or whatever. But this actually really good as someone who's not a big fan of like cranberry dishes, like Thanksgiving cranberry like jelly. I love jelly, but I don't like, you know, I don't know, whatever the cranberry shit is that people make, and it's always like just whole chunks of berries that aren't fully cooked. This, after you've cooked it for like the 15-20 minutes, is really good. Ignore my shitty kitchen lighting, but look at how good they came out. I think the problem was that the dough was still slightly frozen when I put it in. But yeah, these came out so good. I still have to bake the other tray, and the one that was on the lighter color tray is taking longer, so I just have to wait like a little bit longer. But these look incredible. Stop, look at how good these look. Oh my god. They still need the glaze, but still.
And then the icing was, again, just really simple.
Remember, we measure vanilla with our hearts and souls and nothing else. I do want it pretty vanilla-y because I think the key to this one is it's balancing everything out.
It was a little too much vanilla, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't need that last splash there. And then just the heavy whipping cream. I didn't have half and half. You could even use milk if you want it to be like less heavy, but just any dairy product or any liquid will even water will technically work, but you kind of want that like dairy flavor to it. So I just kept adding a tablespoon at a time and then like drizzled it in until I got the consistency that I liked. You can see me testing the drizzleability of this icing.
They actually, even if you, I don't think they're like a turnover. I mean, if you like cranberry, I think you'll like these. They're not super tart. They came out good.
The glaze is very vanilla-y, which is what I wanted. But now we have to try like the actual
like cream cheese part. Yeah, that crunch. I like the cheese. I like the flakiness. Okay. Obviously, store-bought puff pastry is fine. But now we have to get to like the actual filling. So, I think it definitely needs a glaze if you want it to be sweet. Like, I really enjoy the glaze with it. The cranberries are not as tart as I was worried about. And the maple cream cheese is so fucking good, guys. Yeah, they're really good. Like, it's just like a normal breakfast pastry. I think the recipe made too much cranberry jam. But, like, this is fucking delicious. Like, that was my dinner.
You suck.
They're so fucking good, champ. Oh. My whole thing is that cranberries are really tart, right? And sometimes they can even be a little bit bitter. And I don't typically like cranberry sauce that is homemade because it's just too tart. Yeah. And I don't mind tart, but it's just, cranberries are just, it's too much, right? But this, first of all, it has the perfect ratio for the cranberry jam. The spiced cranberry jam is actually so good that you could just put it on toast.
It's spiced?
I added, it was nutmeg, cardamom, cinnamon, and then I added a pinch of cloves to mine, like ground cloves. And so it was like a lightly spiced, and I was like, okay, loved the jam, but it was still really tart, in a good way, but it was tart. But then I was like, it's not that I don't like cheese danishes, but the tanginess of just straight cream cheese is usually a little too much for me. These ones add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup to the filling. And it was, the maple cream cheese was so fucking good. Like, I was like, oh, we'll just make maple cream cheese and just, like, put it on bagels. And then with that, it was still really good, but not super sweet. Like, the individual components, it does need the vanilla glaze. And the vanilla glaze was just vanilla, powdered sugar, and heavy whipping cream. Or you could use half and half for milk. But I think it was necessary because it really adds that sweetness. And what I really appreciated about this was literally every component balances out. Like, the maple cream cheese is sweet and tangy.
Is it on a puff pastry?
It's on puff pastry. Literally, this was so fucking easy. Like, the hardest part was making the components. Yeah. But the puff pastry, I just got, like, frozen pastry and rolled it out. Cut it up into the rectangles, and then you score the edges and put turbinado sugar around the edges, and that helps the outside rise while the inside kind of stays flat so it doesn't, like, go everywhere. I would add... I added a little too much cranberry jam. Okay. Because I actually had more cranberry jam than could use. Yeah, it makes too much, which is fine. Like, we'll use it in other things. But just like in this recipe, because I think you can only ever really get 16-ounce bags of cranberries, you had to make that jam. So if you're making this for a crowd, I think doubling the recipe of cream cheese would have been too much cream cheese, but I don't think there's such a thing as too much filling. Fair enough. So, like, I would have probably made less. This made 12. Okay. This made 12 with 1 box of puff pastry, which had 2 sheets on it, and then I cut them into 6. So this made a good amount, and you still had, and the cream cheese filling, like, it was just 1 block of cream cheese and the maple syrup, and that did all 12 just fine. I just added a little too much of the cranberry jam, but then the vanilla glaze makes up for that. Like, it balanced it out.
I want to taste this. This is the downside of not being able to
not being together, because then we can't share it. Because I'm like, I'm literally gonna go have one. Because there's some in the kitchen right now.
All right, awesome.
These came out really good.
They look great.
I almost went up with a different recipe, but I love this recipe. I will actually probably make these again.
Okay. All right. Well, if you want to click my link, I made cranberry orange muffins.
Okay, but that sounds really good.
They were all right.
Don't think my local store has cranberries. Okay, well. This is my problem with baking across the years. Why did we have to roll cranberry first? This sucks. God, this sucks. I'm really hoping that, like, another Kroger has it. Maybe Earth Fare? Fresh Market didn't have them. Their whole
frozen section is like down, so I'm not that shocked. I'm gonna try Earth Fare. Maybe that'll do something for me. We've acquired them. The last 2 bags. First thing I did was make the streusel, which is just flour, cold butter, and sugar. Mixed it until it was nice and crumbly. It had that really good texture. All the ingredients were incorporated. Then I added flour and the flour mixture, the dry mixture, mixed that together. And then I added the wets, which was sugar, the orange zest, the oil, the yogurt, the egg, and then the orange juice so that it had that flavor. And then I folded in the dry ingredients, one at a time, mixed it very carefully. You don't want to overmix with muffin batter. That's the key. Just ensure that the ingredients are all incorporated. Then I added the cranberries. They were straightforward. Pinned them into their little muffin dishes. Added the streusel. I like a lot of streusel, but it does get messy, so just keep that in mind. I covered them all nicely and then just had to go into the oven. Once they were in the oven, I cooked them for about 18 to 22 minutes. I think I was closer to 22. My oven's a little funky. I did test them with the toothpick to make sure that the insides were baked. And then I pulled them out, let them sit in the muffin tin for a little longer. And that's how they came out. They were really, really pretty, but the flavor you'll see. All right, I'm finally getting to try one of these. It smells delicious. It made my whole house smell like cranberries and oranges, which is an interesting flavor for summer. So let's try it. Okay. The muffin is fine. Muffin is almost just fine. It's got the hints and pops of cranberry. I almost wish that I had added more cranberry. Interesting, I'm not getting the orange at all. Maybe you should have added more orange zest, orange juice. But I'm getting a lot of muffin and not a lot of anything else. So that's interesting. But when I do get a bite of the cranberry, like this bite, I already know it's gonna be delicious. It's gonna just be juicy. So
I almost did orange in mine because cranberry and orange goes together really well. But I wasn't sure. I almost made cranberry orange white chocolate cookies. That was my other recipe I was gonna do. But I was like, I don't know how I feel. I'm not a big white chocolate fan, so I was like, I'll just do a Danish. But these, how'd they go? How did it go?
One of the reasons that, it was very simple to make, which I loved, because I'm always looking for something that is easy to make and is quick to grab and go, especially for stuff that is like, I'm leaving the house. I want a breakfast treat.
Yeah, that's what I did the Danish too, it was like, I can just grab it and eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a cookie.
It was a good muffin. It wasn't a great muffin. I think the recipe that I used didn't have enough orange. The orange zest, it only called for about, I think it was 2 tablespoons. I would have done maybe 4 because I like a lot of tang, but there wasn't enough. And it also called for half a cup of, orange juice, and you still could barely taste the orange.
I will say, in my baking experiences, orange does not present
it doesn't translate
well as lemon. I have orange extract.
See, I thought about doing orange extract, and I didn't.
It does work.
And I just didn't. And I was like, I'm going to follow the recipe, because every time I try and go against the recipe, it does not go well for me. And I was like, I need this to go well. Because
you're like, I need to try the actual recipe.
But also because, like, for me, I almost did a lemon, but I was like, I do lemon for everything. So I wanted to try something else.
Yeah.
And the streusel was fantastic.
I was gonna say the topping looks really good.
Yeah, butter, sugar, and flour. Yeah. And it was, freaking delicious. They are a mess. That is the one downside. But they held their moisture so well. Like, they did a really... I hate dry muffins. I hate dry muffins.
Hate them.
The pockets of... I would have added more cranberries as well. Like, the cranberries, they look like they're showing up through this really well. There were maybe 3 or 4 each muffin. And I think the cranberry was the best part of the muffin because it had so much flavor. But you would take a bite of the cranberry and be like, yes, perfect. And then the rest of the muffin was just a muffin. And so...
because the orange didn't go through.
It didn't go through.
So you really... anything that didn't have... So would you, if you made this again, what would you...
The first thing I would do would make the orange stronger.
Stronger.
And if that still wasn't enough to get that, because I really wanted something that was tart, a summer tart.
Yeah.
This didn't match what I was looking for, and if that orange extract and a little bit of extra orange zest didn't work, I would probably add more cranberries. So there's stuff to play around with this recipe. It was so easy, like literally so easy. So I will be making it again.
Yeah, and like tweaking it.
Yeah. Now we are doing something where we are asking friends and family to give us their opinions on what they thought for our food, Saint. Did you get some opinions from yours?
So my brother did not like them because he doesn't like cranberry that much.
Okay, fair enough.
He likes cranberry jelly at Thanksgiving. Like, he'll eat that.
Like the canned stuff?
Yeah. And that's what we have. That's what I grew up with. Like, I don't make homemade, we eat the shit out of a can. Like, that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
So we eat the stuff out of the can. And he was like, he's also not a big pastry person.
Okay.
So he was like, he ate one, but he's like, he wouldn't eat
them
again.
Like, all right, cool.
Mom loved them.
Okay.
Absolutely loved them. Because she loves fruit, and she likes tart stuff, and she loves anything sweet. So she loved them. Okay. Dad also, he's a big pastry eater.
Okay.
Like, when we go to the store, you know how you're like, let me get myself a little treat?
Yeah.
Dad is the person who will get
several.
But he gets a pastry. Like,
okay.
He will go for a donut or a Danish over a cookie.
Okay.
So he loved them. So out of this recipe alone, I think if you could swap out, like, if you would like another fruit, like, these would probably be great. I actually really want to try this recipe.
Blueberries.
Blueberries, but you know what I want to do? I want to do, have you ever had Starbucks sugar plum cheese Danishes?
Mm-mm.
They're so fucking good. And I'm not a Danish person, but they're so good. So I would do this, and I want to try and make like a sugar plum topping, because it's this recipe though, if you made this in like November or November would be peak. Yeah. I guess the original intention was to use leftover cranberry sauce. So make cranberry sauce.
That makes sense.
And then top this off and like have it as a pastry the next day after Thanksgiving. That would be really, really, really good.
Okay. I asked, I gave, my husband one, and he kind of agreed with me that he was like, it's a good muffin. It's not a cranberry orange muffin. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of my thought too. So we both gave it 5 and 6 and out of 10. However,
10.
Every single person at my office loved them. And I was like,
so funny.
What? But they were both like, they were all like, yeah, we like it. We understand where you're coming from, but it's still really good. And I was like, you know what? That's fine with me. As long as
as
it's edible.
So that's like, I think that people who are big, like, bakers and cooks versus people who aren't.
Are just enjoyers.
They're just, like, enjoyers. Because I've had that exact same thing when I cook for, like, people. Because I cook all the time for people. And I'll be like, oh, I don't like this. I didn't like how this came out. And they're like, it tastes fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Because in my family, overall, I have a very strong open policy of, like,
tell me.
There's a gnat in my room and I'm trying to kill it. But that if you gotta communicate, like, tell me. It's okay. I want to improve my recipes.
Exactly.
I'm always thinking of what's the next. What can I do differently next time? Where do I take it next?
I had one coworker who came over to me and she goes, so I loved it. I'm giving it a 9 because I don't think you'll let me give it a 10. And I was like, you're right, because this is not a 10.
You're like, yeah, because it's not. I feel like we're like. Have you ever seen, like, cooking? So you see cooking shows, right? I watch way too much cooking shows. Yeah. Like Hell's Kitchen, or, like, whatever recipe shows. And there, you can tell when they have, like, the celebrity judges or, like, the guest judges that are not, like, they're not actual chefs, right? Or, like, they're not pastry chefs or whatever. And they're like, yeah, they're going to give this a 5 or a 7. Or they have critiques. And so it's very interesting to see the difference between, like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah. What went wrong in this section. Yep.
Yeah. Like, and like I said, like, I went really, really light on the spices in my cranberry sauce. Mm-hmm. This cranberry, like, jelly recipe, though, 10 out of 10. Okay. Like, absolutely. If you want a cranberry sauce recipe, I did not follow the directions on the level of spices because I think that people go too heavy-handed on, like, cinnamon and cloves and nutmeg and stuff. And I wanted the cranberry to shine. I did, like a solid 1/4 teaspoon, and it asked for, like, 2 teaspoons.
Yeah.
I would probably do half of what they recommend plus adding the cloves, and it would be perfect. Like it was so, and the maple cream cheese, what a simple genius idea.
Honestly,
it was like,
you're like, I'm using that now from now on.
Yeah, literally, like anytime I'm ever gonna make maybe that, or just like in general, instead of, because most of the recipes called for like mixing sugar in with the cream cheese to sweeten it up a bit for a Danish. But thinking about it, I'm like, oh, like maple syrup or honey would probably go so hard on like all of, like, I don't think I'll ever, unless there's something where it's like, this has to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
I think I'm always going to use maple syrup in a Danish. It's so good.
That's awesome. All right, well, that's all for this week's episode. The recipes we used will be on our website, so make sure you check them out there.
Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode, and consider dropping a like on this video so we know you enjoyed it.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky for updates. We love you all and hope your adventures in the kitchen are going well. Champ and Saint, signing off.
Stay witchy!